Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Melissa, and if you're new here, I always upload on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and also I'm starting to upload every other Sunday. I talk about true crimes, and on Friday I dedicate my channel to talk about missing children, and on Sunday I will be talking about important topics that we just do not talk about enough, and I think we need to talk about it. So if you like any of that, go ahead and subscribe. And also hit that bell so you get notified every time I upload. Okay, I like to start my intro with the poem of the day. I'm sorry, I'm cleaning my glasses, y'all, because this is not a topic. I'm just really out of topic. But yeah, I like to start my YouTube, my intro with the poem of the day. So let's go ahead and get that, and then we'll get right in the case. And there we go. So today's poem of the day, some people aren't actually my friends. They're just scared to be my enemy. That is so true. So today we're going to be talking about a little boy that this case, y'all, this case, when I first heard it, I was like, oh my Jesus, like what is going on? What is going on? Like why are people like this? Well, every case is like that, but when it comes to kids, I think I take it a little bit more personal, because it's just like, why would somebody do this to an innocent child? Like, what in your mind makes you think that you have the right to take a child's life? Like, I just want to know. But yeah, today we're gonna be talking about the Franklin Delano Flo case. So here we go. Frank Delano was born in Barnesville, Georgia, the youngest of 5 children born to Thomas and Della Flor. Shortly after Flor's first birthday in 1944, his father, cotton mill worker and alcoholic, died from kidney and liver failure at the age of 32. His mother is a widow at age 29, struggled to make a living in her own, so she and her children lived with her parents in a small apartment. Over the next year, caring for the large family became too difficult for Floyd's grandparents, and by 1946, they asked that Della and her children leave. Lloyd and his siblings were put into the care of Georgia's Baptist Children's Home in Pennsylvania at the advice of Larner Country Children's Services. There, Floyd was illegally bullied by the children from being feminine and later reported to have been sodomized with a broomstick. Why are kids so? Kids are an assholes. Like, some kids are, they're mean. Like, they are mean. Why? When he was 6 years old, he was also subject to harsh punishment by the staff. As a teenager, his hand was whipped into a hot water after he was caught masturbating. Floyd often got in trouble for fighting and stealing. As each sibling reached the age of 18, they left the home. In 1959, having been there 2 years after his youngest sister left, Floyd ran away and broke into an early house to steal food. The children's home informed his sister Dorothy, who was now married and living in North Carolina with 2 children, that criminal charges would not be pursued if she took custody of her brother. After being kicked out of his sister's home, Floyd traveled to Indianapolis to search for his mother, Dahlia, only to learn that she had become a prostitute. Floyd had Dahlia helped him forward to legal documents allowing him to go to California to enlist in the USA Army. However, the Army discharged Floyd 6 months into his service after discovering that he was underage and that his papers were falsely after being able, I'm not gonna try. After being unable to find his mother again, Floyd traveled across the country and as a drifter. Dahlia died in July 2nd of 1968 and buried in Graceland Cemetery in Chicago, Illinois. On February 1960, at age 16, Floyd broke into a Sears department store in Glue, California to steal a gun. Police quickly responded to a burglary alarm, resulting in a shooting which Floyd was shot in the stomach. He survived following emergency surgery. After recovering, he was sent to a youth institution for a year. In 1961, he was arrested for violating his parole by going on a fishing trip in Canada. On May On May 1962, Floyd returned to hospital and found a job at the Atlanta International Airport. The following month, he abducted a 4-year-old from local bowling alley and sexually assaulted her in the near woods. Floyd was convicted of kidnapping and child molestation and was sentenced to serve on 20 years of the Georgia prison in Rainsville. That November, he was moved to Milgively State Hospital for psychiatric testing. Why are y'all letting these? This is one thing that gets me every time I hear stories of a person that rapes like a child, and y'all just don't even keep their butts in prison. Why y'all giving these people, like, why are y'all not giving life? Like, y'all should be giving these predators life sentence, whether they raped one person or I don't care how many people they raped. They should not be getting a sentence a less sentence. Like, no, they should be stuck in prison for the rest of their lives. And that's one mistake I think is still to this day that it happens. Like, no, a rapist is always going to be a rapist. It's just that's what it is. But y'all know, y'all letting them out on the streets. While being taken out of medical earned heroin in 1963, Floyd escaped and fell to Macona, where he robbed over $6,000 from a branch of the Citizen and Southern National Bank. He was convicted of the robbery and was sentenced to the federal refinery in Chella, Ohio. After a second escape attempt, he was transferred to United States Penitentiary in Lewisburg, Pennsylvania. There he was continually raped by other inmates, causing him to climb a roof at the prison and threatened to commit suicide at one point. After being sentenced to federal penitentiary in Manor, Illinois, Floyd was sentenced back to Georgia State Prison in 1968 and befriended a fellow inmate named David Daly. On November 1972, Floyd was released from prison and sentenced to halfway house. On January 27, 1973, a week after he was released from the halfway house, he approached a woman at the gas station and forced her into the car, where he attempted to grab and sexually assault her. The woman managed to escape and Floyd was arrested. Floyd convincing Dahlia, who has also been released from prison, to post his bond, allowing him to go in the run as a fugitive. When he failed to show up for court on January 11, 1973, a warrant was issued for his arrest. In 1974, Floyd used his alias, Brandon Willings, met a woman named Sandy Champion at a North Carolina truck stop. Champion was the mother of 4 children from 2 different fathers: Susan, 1969, from her first husband, Cliff Savica, and Alison, 1971, Amy, 1972, and Phil, nicknamed Stevie, 1974, from her second husband, Dennis Brent Burr. Floyd and Champion dated for a month and married, and Floyd convinced Champion to move her family with him to Dallas, Texas. Champion was sentenced to 30 days in jail for passing bad checks in the 1975. While she served her time, she left her children in the custody of Floyd. After she was released, she arrived home to find the residence vacated and her husband and children gone. Champion eventually found her 2 middle daughters, Allison and Amy, in the care of a local church operator social service group. She never found her oldest child, Susan, and her youngest child, Philip. The boy's whereabouts remained unknown until 2019, when a man came forward believing he was Philip. The DNA test confirmed his identity. According to his older sister, Allison, the mother had first claimed that Phil was dead. She later learned herself from social service that he was alive and had been privately adopted in North Carolina shortly after he was born. By 1989, Floyd, his second wife, Tana Dawn Hudgens, who also had gone by the alias Sharon Marshall, and her infant son, Michael, were living in Tulsa, Oklahoma, where Hughes worked as a dancer at the strip club. A fellow dancer, Karen Pelson, encouraged Hughes to leave the domineering Floyd, only for Hughes to claim he would kill her and her child if she tried. Floyd had joined the federal order to police, despite not being a cop, and had told Hughes that he could use his connections to track her down. However, by April 1990, Hughes had decided to run away with Kevin Brown, a college student she was having a secret relationship, and take Michael with her. That month, three passbys found Hughes laying in the side of the highway 100 miles outside of Oklahoma City. She was rushed to the Presbyterian Hospital in Oklahoma City with several bruises and a large hematoma at the base of her skull. She subsequently died as she was found with groceries scattered around her. Police summarized she had been struck from behind in a hit and run while walking from a convenience store to be an early Motel 6. When Floyd arrived at the hospital the following day, he claimed he had fallen asleep at the Motel 6 after Hughes had departed to collect the groceries. Both Floyd and Hughes went by a number of aliases at the time of her death. The couple were suspected in 1989 disappeared 18-year-old Cheryl Ann Comstock, a former co-worker of Hughes. Comstock had disappeared following an angry confrontation with Floyd. Floyd was considered the lead suspect in his wife's death as well. Following the death of Hughes, Floyd put 2-year-old Michael in foster care and left the state. Michael's foster parents told authorities the boy had limited muscle control, was non-verbal, and often experienced psychotic behavior when he first arrived at the home, but he had made remarkable progress. In 1974, they began adoption proceedings. 6 months after Michael was placed in foster care, Floyd was arrested on a parole violation as part of the adoption process. Michael's DNA was compared to Floyd's to establish penitentiary. It was discovered at that time that Floyd was not Michael's biological father. When Floyd was released from jail, he attempted to gain custody of Michael on the basis of his criminal record and discovered that he had not biological relations, and his request was denied. So let's just go and do the other stuff. Let's just kidnap the baby. This is the person that I'm talking about. It's Michael's. I am talking about Michael's. This is the little boy that is missing, if that makes sense. On September 12, 1994, Michael was in the first grade at Indian Meridian Elementary School in Ocala, Oklahoma. Floyd walked into the school and forced Principal James Davis at a gunpoint to take him to Michael's classroom. Floyd then forced Michael and Davis in his pickup truck. Floyd forced Davis out of the truck in a wood area, handcuffed him to a tree, and speed off with Michael. The principal survived the abduction and was rescued. 2 months later, Floyd was arrested in Huntsville, Kentucky. Michael was not with him and has not been seen since. Authorities have received conflict reports as to what happened to Michael. Some witnesses claimed daily illegal confession by Floyd regarding Michael's death. According to this report, Floyd reportedly told his sister and others that he drowned the children in a motel bathtub in Georgia. Shortly after that kidnapping, another person claimed he saw Floyd but Michael's body in the cemetery. Still, other sources report that Floyd had stated that Michael was still alive and safe, although Floyd had refused to disclose the boy's exact location or who was caring for him. In 2015, an interview with the FBI, Floyd admitted to killing Michael the same day of kidnapping by shooting him twice in the back and the head. The investigation to the death of Tony Hughes and the kidnapping of Michael uncovered more unsolved mysteries. It was discovered that Floyd had raised Tony Hughes as his daughter since her earlier childhood. DNA testing to determine a penitentiary daughter uncovered that she was not Floyd's biological daughter. Floyd had given a number of consistent statements regarding how she came to be in his custody. One such story is that he had rescued Hughes when she was abandoned by her biological parents. The earliest known record of Hughes was elementary school registration in Oklahoma City School in 1975. She was registered under the alias Susan Davis. Authorities suspect that she was born in the late 1960s and kidnapped by Floyd sometime between 1973 and 1975. It was revealed that on October 4, 2014 that Tony Hughes had been identified as Susan Maria Savicki, an oldest daughter of Sandy Champion, who had disappeared with Floyd. Her stepfather in 1975. DNA matched Champion to Hughes. Champion intended to file kidnapping charges but was told local authorities that as their stepfather, Floyd has a right to take the children. No, he doesn't, because That's not their dad. That's just a stepdad. Susan Selvig, under the name Sharon Marshalls, graduated from high school in Foster Park, Georgia in 1986. She was a good student who earned a full scholarship to Georgia Institution of Technology to aerospace and engineer. Despite this, she did not go to college, instead moved to Tampa, Florida, with Floyd, where she gave birth to her son in 1988. Marshall began working as an exotic dancer and married Floyd in 1989 in New Orleans. By then, the couple had been using the alias Clarence Marcus Hughes and Tona Dawn Taylorlock. Consumed in 1989, disappearance remained unsolved until her scales remains were found in 1995 by a landscaper in area of the Interstate 275 in Pinellas County, Florida. She was listed as Jane Doe until a year later when her remains were undefined, and our Jarleys determined that she died from being beaten and 2 gunshots to the head. Floyd and Susan Savicki had been persons of interest in the case after co-worker witnessed an attraction between Floyd and Compson. Floyd accused Constance of reporting Savick for mistreating her income, which certainly resulted in Savick losing her government benefits. The argument occurred outside the club where Savick and Compson worked as exotic dancer. A co-worker reported that Floyd pushed Compson in the face. Floyd and Savick fled to Oklahoma shortly after Compson disappeared, and their trail was burned to the ground in what ruled international arson. In March of 1995, a mechanic in Kansas found a large envelope stuffed between the truck bed and the top of the gas tank of a truck he had recently purchased as in an auction. He found 97 photographers in the envelope, including many photographers of a woman who was bound, severely beaten. The police traced the truck to Floyd, who had stole the truck in Oklahoma in September of 1994. But had some abandoned in Texas in the following month. Investigators compared the photos of the injured woman with Constance, as well as an evidence found with her remains, and found that clothing in the photos were similar. The medical examiner also compared injury seams in the photo to the cheekbone of Constance's skulls and found that they were consistent. Many of the pictures contain images of furniture and other belongings identified as belonging to Floyd. He was tried and convicted of Constance murder in the base of photography evidence found in the trunk. The investigator into the kidnapping of Michelle Hughes, as well as the earlier kidnapping of his mother, are ongoing. Other photos found in the truck show sexual abuse, a Civic starting very earlier in her childhood. Authorities found photos of her in sexually explicit posts of various ages, starting around age 4. In September 2014, Floyd admitted to the murder of Michael, and then he had disposed of his body on Interstate 35. A search of the area yielded no results, and police believe that while Hughes may have eaten Michael's body, in 2001, while waiting trial to concern murder, Judge Nancy Lee ruled that Floyd was incompetent to stand trial in order for him to undergo further mental evaluation. Floyd fought against this assignment and stating that he was not competent. Several months later, the judge reversed his previous ruling and ordered him to stand trial. He was convicted and sentenced to death. Hallelujah. The book A Beautiful Child by investigative journalist Matt Bricker was published in 2004. It brought the Franklin Floyd and Sharon Marshall story to light and led the discovery of the daughter given up for adoption in 1989. Worldwide interested in finding Sharon's true identity, generated by the book, eventually led the National Center of Missing and Exploring Children and the FBI to reveal the case in 2011. In 2014, 2 FBI agents interviewed Frank Floyd, and he confessed to kill Michael Hughes and block Sharon's true identity, which was Susan's Savicki. So that is the story of this innocent little boy and this piece of shit of a man that just should not just have been left out. I think if they would have left him in prison for I don't know how many crimes that he committed, yeah, this little boy will still be alive. If y'all lived in that area, if y'all see something, y'all know something, go ahead and say something and call the police. I hope that I hope that this little boy's body is found, because I mean, this is like, what makes people like, I will never understand, y'all. Like, I will never understand what makes people think that they have the right to take somebody's life, especially a child. Like, I don't understand why that child's innocent. That child, they had nothing done to you. Like, you are, I hope you die. Please just die. But yeah, guys, that is here. That's it. That is this case. Let me know what y'all think about this case, and yeah, I'll see y'all next time. Bye.